Hey, it's time for some GeoRush. GeoRush game dev? No, GeoRush is the name of the game that I haven't yet released. No, it's called The World is Flat. I'm just going to be doing a bit of GeoRush game dev. No, GeoRush is the
feedback.
The name of the game that I haven't yet released. We seem to be streaming. It's very nice. World is online. Yes, it's fine. I'm just going to get on the work, basically. Doing a bit of GeoRush. No, GeoRush is Visual Studio 2008 here. What I was going to look at just now is I was just in the middle of doing some animation. I'm just going to get on the work, basically. Doing a bit of GeoRush. Yes, here we go. It's Visual Studio. Right, so I was going to look at just now. This is the game. If you haven't seen it, some animation. A game about finding geographical places very, very fast. It's new. I'm just in the middle of it. Right, so this is the game. If you haven't seen it, it's as you can see, we've got a about sphere here. Across it. Get given little tasks. Go and run and it's new. And I don't know if we're muted or not. Nope. No idea. Just in the middle of it. Right, so this is the game. Anyway, I can do that way. See, we've got a running a little slow, probably due to the stream. You get given a little task, like go and run, and you'll have to forgive. But it is running pretty much 60 frames a second solid on mobile on my Galaxy S4, I think, which is a little behind the curve now, but that's what you really want. Something where you slow, probably due to which means that it'll really fly on it, given a little task. So yeah, I was just looking at, but it is running the thing, which is a score on mobile on which to bring up the animation, which is a lot of people don't use this or like using this. I really do something where most things will really fly on it. It's a pain to get used to. It has improved. It's just a nice way to be able to very quickly to bring up the animation curves to a lot of people don't arbitrary use this for like behaviors. I really do some different objects. I mean, I'm using it for very classical things. For this particular jobby, it has improved. It's just a nice way to be able to very quickly. Alright, so this syncs up with another bit of graphic animation game, which is quickly showing arbitrary use this for like behaviors. I really do some different objects. I mean, I'm using it for very classical things. For this particular jobby, whole workflow has improved. It's just a boring to hit play and save. Alright, so this syncs up with another bit of graphic animation. The game's not much quicker, showing arbitrary use this for behaviors. First thing you find just triggers a run, so you don't get points for it. So I'm gonna probably try and show you one. It's just a and then there's the so I've just added in the background camera colors regularly. You'll notice that when I'm editing, I'm in a kind of RGB color space, and then when I'm playing, it switches out all the trigger colors. I'll get into why that is a bit later. So I'll pause there. Let's pause it when I'm finding place, and then there's the. Okay, so first up you see there's a couple of rings here on that step tree. You'll notice that when one of them's out in the deformed real world space, and then when I'm playing, it switches out. So everything in the game is either UI space, which is the deformed space, either full screen space shit that's going on here to give you flags. So first, at the moment, the world here is fairly rounded out. You'll notice that when I step through, you'll see it flat and deformed real world space. It's not perfectly flat, because the way the projection works, it is still a sphere, sort of unfurled based on its angle from your focus flags. Which means that when the polygons you have on the extreme opposite side of your point of view are unwrapped, they will overlap with existing stuff, so I actually give it a little bit of a push, a Z push towards the center, so that when we're rotating it doesn't do anything. But yes, which means that you see there are also some lines emanating out, and these billboarded lines, some of your point own shader are unwrapped. They will figure out overlap with existing stuff. So yeah, typically those lines billboard and they face the camera. Push a Z push is towards the shockwave circle, so that when we're rotating it doesn't do anything. But yes, I believe there are also some lines emanating out, aliased as part of the mesh. My own shader are unwrapped. So the issue I have is that with this pop-up billboard image, when it does its radial stuff with the points, it has a very simple. I believe there are some lines aliased. So when I hit play on this guy, you see that ring there that explodes out? Now it's just scaling. It's scaling, and the width of the circle scales with it. I'm not particularly in love with that. So what I want to do is replace, instead of having a white circle, so when I hit play on this, the circle PG, or it's the ring, that ring there that explodes, instead of having a ring sprite, what I want to do here is replace this texture with a function. What's going to be nice about the function is it's actually going to be kind of a fall off from the center out to the edges, and then on the circle shader itself, there's going to be an extra parameter to play with, which will be like a slider to control the relative width from the center. And then I'll animate that from the code. And then, typically you don't want to be animating there's individual materials and properties which will break batches, which will in this particular case I know that I've only got a handful of these pop-ups appearing with a slider to control those. So the first things first, the relative width. Probably clone this material. We'll then clone the shader as well. Typically going to do both of them. Come out with individual materials and something else goes gnarly. Let's call this one I know that I've only got a hand ring image. So the reason that I have my own set of custom images is that I use a color system underneath. This material. Quickly have a look. I go edit shader here. Going to do both of them. I include my own individual materials and something else. Color palette. Let's call this one I've only got a hand ring image. Open color palette. And it's a very simple thing. Custom images is that just one function that I use all over the place for each color inside of it, and it returns out a color here. And the color is just arbitrarily defined elsewhere in code, and it's these ones. These are globals. So I go to my open palette system, and it's a very simple thing. I have just one function that I use all over a late update, which sets a bunch of colors just before everything is rendered. After animation, I'm going to animate these colors in code, and it uses set global colors. These are global. Now the nice thing about this, I've got this in a CGI ink, and it will set these, and then I can use this function from a family of shaders. So loads of things in the game use this same color palette trick, and it's, I mean, you could probably just do a post-process effect, admittedly, and use color tinting. But now the nice thing about this, I don't know, I sometimes like doing it the awkward way. I also sometimes don't really trust post-process effects because so how they affect mobile phones and how mobile phone phones treat. This is kind of like from the very root you get your colors at the vertex level sometimes. I don't know, in this case I'm just applying it to vertices, so it's really trust, not many calculations going on. Yeah, so that's fine. So I'll keep that part of this shader. I'm going to duplicate that shader. Use this little cog here, select the vertex level sometimes. I don't know, in this case, I'm just applying a vertex. Use sprite, use sprite, and I'm chucking a ring, so that's fine. So that part of this shader, I'm gonna duplicate that shader. Sprite ring, cog here. I know, this is the only awkward thing sometimes about how many different small little shader variants that you have to use, which then also forces you to kind of break patching. You can change up those sort of low-level set writing, blend settings on the fly, but God knows what it does to batching. I'm terrified to do that, so I try not to touch it too much. Now let's go back to our ring image, shader variants you have to use to read that also for internal patching. So here it is. You can change up those sort of low-level set writing. Studio always takes blend settings on the fly, but God knows what it does to sprite shader. Terrified to do that. I'm going to change it to the ring sprite shader. Let's go back to our ring image, shader variants you have to use to read that. I have no idea if that was turned or not. So here it is. You can change up one person viewing those sort of low-level. I don't think I've always blend settings. Oh, not the echo again! God knows what it does to sprite shader. Terrified to do that. I'm going to change it to the ring sprite shader. Let's go back to okay, give me a second. I'm going to edit because then I have no idea audio things or not. So here it is. You can change up one person viewing those sort of low-level echo. I don't think I'm coming from the video. Oh, not the echo again! Idiot. Alright. Thanks, Ed. I fixed the echo. Or have I? Alright. Let's have this thing. Let's have this lovely feedback loop here. Oh, no, I'm turning it back on. Oh, I need to turn it back on to hear if I've got an echo or not. It's gone. Confusing, but there we go. Okay, back on track. I'm making this extra shader. Now, let's see. Where were we? Yes. That has now got its own name internally, I believe. Back to here. Ring sprite shader, saved out. Back here. Jump on this, give this its own. Yeah, it's a little bit of like busy work here. It's called Gourmand here because that's what I used to call it. It used to be a game about finding food across the world. And then it was called Geo Rush, which was way too cheesy. And now it's called Gourmand. So, first thing first, if I change this over to the ring image, nothing's going to be different. We've just got a clone of the other one. And that's fine, we want to work with that. I'm just going to jump in here, switch to T mode, which is the UE editing mode, and just make sure that we got, yeah, that's the right thing. So that's what we're looking at. Now, we are going to do something pretty heinous. We're going to start replacing the texture call, the texture read with purely our in coordinates, and that's because I kind of want to see where the in coordinates are going. So get rid of this line. Instead of that, why don't we go fix C is equal to a new float fixed 4. You kind of want to use fixed 4s for colors, if it's because colors tend to be a lower bit depth than everything else. Whereas for spatial stuff you want to use float 4 because you'll really notice the stepping up. So fixed 4 is just like a lower bit rate value, and then I'll set this to 0, and will always be colored, always be alpha in. And this is a weird. I don't know why this is in here. It's been here in there from the default sprite for a while. It might be some kind of pre-multiply alpha style jobby, and it's broken. Alright, why is it broken? F. Always put an F in. Always F'ing it up. Okay. Right, okay, so we got our Lovely colours in there. Now, notice this. Look, 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 look. Isn't that strange? So this image is looking pretty hot. It's pretty. That's pretty good. That's what we wanted on there. On here, it's not. Now, why is that? That's because the values we're being sent through for that mesh, that sprites mesh, are looking up a position on the sprite sheet that this sprite is a member of. Okay? Right? But remember, we don't need this sprite anymore. This ring belongs to nothing actually. So that's maybe a red herring. For some reason, though, it's just it's going from black to a little bit red, full red actually, but not on the Y. Is that because I've got in texture Y there and 0, 1 multiplied by the in color? Maybe if I get rid of that. Oh, I'll tell you why it is. Now, because of my colorization system, you have to pick pretty weird, funny colors. So right now it's at red. So of course it would be multiplying out any aspect of green or blue or whatever else. Oh, wrong thing. I'm editing that. There we go. There you go. We're back in the business. So you can see how the red just mutes out everything else. So for a second I want to go back to that, but at the end we will convert the colors over to the vertex color that is being passed through in the vert. Whenever you're doing an image, one of these image scripts, when it creates a sprite, you're creating geometry with like color values on each vertices, on each vertex. And as I was mentioning before, it'll be the same thing with the UVs. Like it's set up like this so that it can see if the image you're using is part of a sprite sheet and where to look on that sprite sheet with its UV values. But okay, we'll go back into other stuff. So this was fine. So now I'm going to actually I'm going to give us a, I guess a float 2. It could be a fixed. Let's go for fixed 2. I'm not too bothered. Not of 0.5, 0.5, which is going to be our fixed to center. Now we're going to find distance, or delta, from our current position, from the center of the sprite to the pixel that we're looking at. So that's just going to be like it is. And yeah, we're looking at half 2s. Yeah, maybe the half 2 is what I should be using for this delta. And this one. Just follow the following just whatever the value is through there, so that we're neither using too much detail or too little. Could go to a fixed, could go to a half, but yeah, for this it's fine. Now we can get delta magnitude. Here's a thing which I'm gonna do obviously wrong at first, and then improve later. So distance. So this will be distance to the center is equal to length, and length in shader language means like Pythagorean length and not like the length of the data value. And then I'm going to say that our C dot red. No, how about our RGB? All three of our RGB is going to equal the distance to the center. Easy peasy. And so, what we probably expect to see is a linear drop off, like a cone kind of shape, if you think of it, like looking straight down on a very foggy cone. And there you go, there it is. So it's going from black in the center, where it's closest, to white at the outer edge, and that value will actually be over white. Interesting. Now note, we're not using that ring anymore at all, so I'm actually going to remove that. Not only am I going to remove that, I'm going to comment it out altogether, so that we don't even, our texture doesn't even need a reference to this. We're not sampling any texture here, but we want to get a ring out of it. actually, which might be a bit scary, because per render data might have something to do with the way the images are compiled, so actually, out of fear, I'll leave it in. How's everything going? It's all good. Oh, 3 people. Hello. Do make yourself known, and I'll chuck this on the side so I can watch the chat. Good. Next up, so we got this shape. Now I'm going to put that through some kind of function. I want it to just be like a kind of donut shape. So for a donut shape, let's say the distance is equal to, well, how do we do a sawtooth off this? If we take away 0.5, then we'll end up with a, oops, effing it up again, we'll have a range between 0.5 and plus 0.5, right? So then let's renormalize that. Oh, I'll show you how it looks. I'll immediately go super dark. Darker? Really? No? Oh. Check it, Hesselgren. That's all dark. That's all dark. But the very fringes, you can see there's stuff going on there. And the values are not like clamped implicitly. They're only clamped at the last moment when they've been sent off to be rasterized. And so we need to say, let's double that so we get back to the full range. Now, I'm doing this in a really sort of silly way. I can probably do this in one big line, but I just want to take you through it step by step. So okay, a bit whiter out towards the edges there. But our values are still negative in the negative range, but of course we can just use the little abs to bounce back the value that we have. So just for clarity, this would be -1, ... 1. It's always really nice to have parameterized values and to keep them inside a 0 to 1 range, or -1 to +1 range. Distance is maybe a keyword variable as well. Right, so now we got a donut, but it's actually black where I want it white and white where I want it black. It's also a little bit too far in, so we could do a couple of things. I mean, we could divide it by, if we were to divide this incoming distance by √2, right? Is that not root? It's √2. Oops, SQRT. Yes, √2, right? You will get, there you go. So this value out here becomes the outside edge at that point. I comment out this bit. Okay, do you see? Because normally the length is going to be 0, 1 there. But when you go across here, it's going to be Pythagoras 1 squared plus 1 squared, which is 2 root, and you get that hypotenuse √2. I divide it by 2, or is it maybe multiply by 2? I don't know. It's one of the two. If in doubt, fuck around with it until it works the way you want. And the way I want it is to, what do I want from it? I want it to come in a bit more, or out a bit more. Okay, so that gets me to lighter quicker. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, square roots you don't want to do, and you don't want to be doing it on the fragment either. So maybe what I actually want to do, which is a little bit cheaper, somebody taught me, and this will distort it a bit, which is going to be a little crazy, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but let's do a dot product of delta. And this will kind of give me like a squared version, right? Which means that the fall off of it will be a bit weird and stuff. And from there, I don't know, I'm just going to arbitrarily divide it by 2. Oops, effing it up. Oop, not putting spaces. Or is it ×2? Make it ramp up faster. Yeah, there we go. That'll do me. Now that is just a bunch cheaper. And it will mean that, you know, we kind of know where the edges are and where they're contained, and we bring them inside the edge. Oh, and also because everything doubled up, isn't it? What am I thinking? Yeah, the maximum distance you can have in the beginning is going to be 0.5. So that's my bad, because it was starting from the center of the screen. So we already wanted to multiply that up by 2. So that's all sort of fair game. So this is just going to give us a weird power curve, that's all. Now, let's put back in the donut stuff. Donut height map. There we go. And it's we want the inverse of that, so easy enough. 1 minus distance. Again, we know that it's going to be in the particular range. And there you can see, yeah, this thing is just perfectly glancing the corner there. But of course, we don't want that to be perfectly on the corner. We want it inside. So we're going to start to introduce a value which can just scale this up or scale it down, depending on how you want to look at it. And we'll do that by, we'll do a little float. And I actually prefer ranges for this. They just have a nicer handle. And the range can just go between 0 and 2 seems fine because it's relative to the size of the sprite, and I'll be animating the sprite as a whole and its size as a whole to get this radius, and it's called radius here. It's known as radius. It starts at 1. You know, the starting value is 1. We have to declare it somewhere in the member body here. Kind of shader member body. Call it a float for now. Probably not totally necessary, but it is a spatial aspect. Then we'll take that, take it, and we'll, I don't know, chuck it in here. Right. Ballsed up somewhere. Oh yeah. Oh, there's always something. Here we go. There's my UV ring. Let's go to the thing. UV ring. Right. Mess with the radius. Cool. Alright. Now we are cooking with gas. If I go to twice as much, maybe it does want to be a divide. Or just like, after the fact, after we've multiplied it, let's do it, because... Okay. Totally granted that this is inefficient, but it's kind of writing it out so that we're going through the steps and we're aware of what every line does. You can always cobble it back to one epic fucking line of text. I think I prefer dividing a value by the radius, but then I'm going to get scared. What's it actually mean here? So yeah, radius, there you go. It's more attached to what the actual thing is. So you see at 1 we get back to like that touching outside edge. Seems like a good value. It's more or less 0.5 because it drops off. We know it mathematically should drop off there. I haven't really gone into why the dot product thing works, really, have I? But the basic idea is that a dot product is going to multiply each individual component of, oops, wrong program, each individual component of a vector, right? So this dot here would break out to dot, see it, delta dot x times delta dot x plus, or brackets on that, because that's the a, the delta there is the a and the b, right? And then same thing for the other components, y. Now, it's built together. What does that look like? It's pi tag. So this value is the squared distance. The nice thing about that is that, like, it's roughly the same as doing length, just skipping the square root that we had there. Yeah, it's just like slightly more optimal. And we're dealing here with fall-off values in effect, right? So although it might be nice for it to be absolutely perfect, we can kind of eyeball a little bit of stuff. And we like the optimization prematurely. That's well noted as a really good thing to do, is to prematurely optimize your code. I'm only saying that because Ed is watching, probably. Hey, Ed. Right, so there's the thing. We've got a nice ring. And you can actually see this, the shape of it. It does look a little bit like, doesn't look like just a sort of spiky kind of sawtooth style thing. It looks like a bowl and a bowl going in and out like that. And that's fine. So we've got the radius thing there. Now what I want to do is like crop that past a little, like if you imagine that's a height map, and I want to just bring in a sea level to chip away at the bottom of that height. Let's bring in another thing like radius, but this one's going to be, we'll kind of call it line width, because to anybody looking it looks like a width. And range is going to be, I'm going to start with the it's not meaningful to take away any more than 0 to 1 range, right? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, and also it's going to scale with everything else. So again, these are all quite parameterized type things. So we've got a line width, we need to declare it again next to the radius. Again, do a float for no really good reason, other than used to it. So then we do distance minus equal to line width. Right, now I'm going to take away stuff. So you would think that this is going to bring down the height map, as it were, pull it down under the ground, suffocating the white into black. The black is effectively naturally cropping what the color can be. Once it's rasterized, we don't necessarily have to do any kind of clamp after the fact to show that it's absolutely black. But just for completeness, you could do distance is equal to saturate distance. And the nice thing that the equivalent you might see in Unity is mathf dot clamp 01. So it's just going to return you the value, and if it's the value was above 1, it'll be 1, and if it's below 0, it'll be 0. So now we've got this. Oh, and line width started at 1. So if I drag this right down, though, boom, that's it. So does the relationship there make sense? No, it doesn't. See, line width there is at 1. You would think that'd be full width, right? And then minimum width. So we want to do minus equal to 1 minus the line width. Cool. Now we have a nice relationship, sort of logical relationship, and it's only one extra little bit of an operation. So now we've got this issue of banding, though. And also it's darkening and lightening. That sucks. We don't want that at all. What we really want here is to figure out what this kind of range is. Right. So if we divide this whole thing, by the distance, by the sort of leftover value. So if we were to take away 0.2 from 1, we'd get 0.8, right? So we divide it by 0.8 to put it back into the range. Because this current range is going to be between negative line width and positive line, and yeah, something like that. Starts from negative line width to something. I can't remember. Okay. I'm actually going to remove this for 1 second. Wait, no, I'm not. I'm going to do 1 minus line width on that one. what do we want to do? You'll note I'm saturating after this stuff, which is, it's going to be interesting where we can put the saturate. But yes, okay, so this is divide it by
line width, I think.
what have you got left over? And then we'll kind of be, yeah, we're maintaining the overall brightness, the range that we've got. The maths there is a bit weird, and I think I maybe jumped the gun here. But if we do it this way, I'm used to seeing it like this. There we go. But then we've got the backwards reverse line width thing. So maybe we got the distance here. Let's get rid of that as something that we do right at the end. So distance is equal to 1 minus distance to invert stuff. Right. Whoa, that seemed to change a fair amount. And did not work because we're now... Ah, yeah, fuck. Right. Anyway, so this roughly makes sense, but I'm just going to do that. A little bit weird and backwards. Does make sense. Sort of. Yeah. So now we can mess with these individually. Now, so what I'm going to start doing is, I guess I could probably work out the... Oh no, we've got the ramping now, and really I want this ring to be like everything else. Just flat. Coloured, really. Now, I could... You don't really want to do a shader which goes if greater than 0. If distance is greater than 0.5. Do distance is equal to 1. Else that. No. And I'll show you why. Because it looks like jank. Now, this is the quickest way to alias edges that you can possibly get to. Oh, hello, Bob Films. Welcome. Any questions? Hit me. Now. Let's switch back over to here. The other thing is, like, I mean, in this particular case, you're doing an evaluation, which is okay. It's got some expense to it, and in terms of the result of the evaluation, you've got the same number of operations being executed. However, shaders do not like to be treated like that. They like to be treated more like a kind of voltmeter almost. Like you're dealing with a range, and the range goes through a consistent, non-branching bit of code. So we're going to remove that. And we're just going to say, we'll do similar stuff to what we did before, which is going to be distance is equal to distance minus 0.5. So now the range we're dealing with is like centered around the middle of the range of those colors, right? So this will all darken down, and now it's in the range minus 0.5, which you can't see, to plus 0.5, which you can see. It's poking its head above. Now we're going to do something real jammy. We're just going to multiply by a big bloody number. And what does that do? Gives us aliasing again. Ah, no it doesn't. Look very carefully here. See that? There you go. There's your anti-aliasing for you. And what's the radius? So this anti-aliasing thing we ought to play with a bit, because you can see on this screen, actually it looks like junk. It's going too, it is ramping up and down too fast, as it were. So it's not working out for us. There's our radius, but it's giving us great control. Right. That's not absolutely correct, and technically we should just add this back on at the end, because what we've done is we've stepped down our origin, as it were, multiplied up the values so they really stretch high and low, and then we've put it, after we stretched it, we've put it back to where it technically was before. There's line width there. Now we're not going to be using this to get to a full circle, but I can see that that might be an issue, and that might be fixable by really messing with the power distance stuff. So you remember here we did all this multiply stuff. We could even do distance equals pow distance comma. Let's try 5 for something ridiculous. See what happens. Oh, it just obliterates the input values. That's what happens. Oh, you can just see it coming at the edge. Yeah, high power values are fairly expensive, and also they start to really thrash the floating point range there. You know, they just really curtail off. But yeah, you can. I'm not quite sure what that's doing with the radius. But let's see. So nope, and the line width is that to make. Sometimes it's nice to just open up this range, bring it up to something like 5, and just go give it some welly. There you go. So oh shit, we can totally get to a circle now. That was not even intentional, but yeah, I like it to be a circle. Good. Well, here you go. Then the only issue here is that the aliasing on the outside, because the rate of change on the length is changing, it's very gradual at the beginning and then very slow at the end. You are getting sort of way more banding there than you are on the outside edge. Now, for my purposes, I don't need that. I don't want that. I could probably make it. Maybe I just make this a function of the original distance. That could be doable, couldn't it? Because if it's in close, we want it to blow up really fast, and if it's far away, we want it to go down really slow. I'm tempted to, just to show off, but no, I'm not going to. I'm just going to turn that back off, and then I'm going to tweak this guy a little bit. He doesn't need to be 100 times. 50 might. Let's divide and conquer this. Halves and halves. How does that look on the screen? It's still pretty glitty. I mean, other stuff is there too. The other thing is, we should probably say that this is alpha. I want it to be alpha. Whoops. Oh, look at that, eh? That's weird and wrong. Now this is probably where a saturate is wanted. So the CA is coming in. I don't know what that is from. Oh no, it's not the RGB I want to multiply, it's the C. C dot A is times equal to the distance. So that's just like a height map effect, as it were. And finally, actually, yeah, it's not the RGB that we care about there. The RGB, I actually want to be, that should just be coming from the in color, which is normally put in here. Ah, yeah, no, it's in there. It's in there. Whoa, weird. Okay. But you also see that we've got my weirdly my alpha's inverted there. I've lost the fucking plot about why. But oh, strange. Oh, cool. I gotta think. What have I done wrong? One thing I need to definitely do towards the end is that, you know, I did this saturate here, but really that wants to be your last step, maybe to make sure that you're definitely in the right kind of range of 0 to 1. Now I've got my tint here. I can mess with tint. Tint's nice. It's definitely white. And that tint is coming from, that's on the shader side rather than on the sprite side. And if you remember from the beginning, because I'm doing a weird color space type thing, yeah, now that's still white. That's still white. Right. Ooh, weird. What is happening? Does this give us any clues here? Exploding out, and then there's a little extra ring in here, which is only the colours are coming through. So where's RGB even set? Ah, well, if I do that, that might help. It's doing the alpha out of order there. Whoops, and I did that extra unnecessary 1 minus distance. We were correcting the first point. There we go. Ah, and the red is coming from the other guy. Right. So the RGB currently is coming from the stuff I left at the beginning. This thing, I actually just want it to be the color of the tint, I guess, plus the so it's going to be the vertex color and the mesh color. So cool. This is coming through white. And it should be, and it's all nice and aliased. So, although I'm playing with the radius here, that's mostly just to get to optimal values, and I want to be outside there. I want the line width here, and actually, to be honest, because the one I'm going to be playing with is the line width, not the radius. I just want to make sure that at every step across here, the line width doesn't turn up, doesn't make this ring end up looking gross. The other thing is to have a useful range, so I can go here from a what's called a 1.81 range down to 0 without clipping. I only start to clip up around here, and the distance I need to multiply for the aliasing. Yeah, so that's a little too soft, you can see. Sort of would be nice for a different style of game, probably. The Dalston supergroup? What's that? Oh! Oh, I know who this is. How's it going? Right. Simon. Cool. Yeah, I can guess from the name. Good stuff, sir. God, I hate that. Okay, alright. Let's just tweak this a bit. That's a little bit softer. That's nice. There's a red tinge. A red